Welcome to our virtual Opens evening for Year 8. My name is Mrs. Hepburn, and the aim of my video today is just to introduce you to some of the materials available to help decide what you want to study at Key Stage 4, and also to introduce you to the process that you need to follow. With that in mind, I'd like to bring your attention to the other videos that are on the website, in particular the subject videos. I do know that our students have watched these videos before in our assemblies. However, I would encourage you to sit down as a family and watch these subject videos again, because they'll give you all the information about each subject and what they entail at Key Stage 4. As well as the subjects videos, there is a video by Peter Rayner from SENSLIP, and he talks about the routes that you can take after Key Stage 4. In particular, lots of us know about a university route, but this is in particular looking at other routes and perhaps looking at an apprenticeship route. So I would encourage you to watch that video as well. There will also be an opportunity to ask questions to myself and other senior members of staff on the 23rd of March at a frequently asked questions session, which will be live. So please do attend that if you have any general questions that you wish to ask. Any specific questions that are not covered in this video that you think are just specific to your child, then please don't hesitate to contact me, Mrs. Hepburn, at the school. So moving on, our video about options. I'd like to pose the question, how many choices have students made at this moment that directly affect their future? Now, you will have made choices, but how many are actually having as much of an impact for our future as these options? So this is an important process, and it is something that we'd encourage our students to take seriously. The reality is that for lots of secondary school students, making GCSE options choices is one of the first adult decisions they have to make. And for some students, this decision can be quite overwhelming. But we're here to say that there's lots of support involved at the school. The process has started already. Students are being supported through sessions at PSHE and also through our pastoral systems. We're all here to support you to make that decision, so please don't worry. It's all about choice. So I want you to think about this decision more about making a sandwich. So when you make a sandwich, you have to select your ingredients carefully. Okay, you have to select the subjects carefully. You need to combine all the flavours to suit your taste. You need to make sure that you like the subjects that you're choosing. You need to know what works. You need things that go together. You can't choose subjects that don't go together, and things that don't work, things that might not work for you. So altogether, you're trying to make a very tasty sandwich, because you need to be happy with your sandwich, because actually this one's going to be yours for life. So let's first of all think about GCSEs. What do GCSEs actually do? Well, GCSEs are some of the ways that we prepare you for life, and by preparing you by giving you opportunities to take one of several pathways. You may choose to go to sixth form, you may choose to go to a college, you may choose to take an apprenticeship, and as I said, the video by Peter Rayner discusses what an apprenticeship is. You may decide just to go straight into work following your GCSEs, or join something like the armed forces. Most of you, however, won't have considered which pathway is best for you yet. And even if you have, you may change your mind at a later stage. Not everyone knows at this age what they want to do. Your GCSEs are a stepping stone to the next chapter of your lives. Making the choices now that keep a range of options open is a perfectly normal and sensible decision. So the crux of all of these decisions is, if you don't really know at this stage what you want to do in the future, and why should you? Okay, then don't worry about that. Just try to choose things that you enjoy and things that keep your options as open as possible. So if we look at GCSEs, GCSEs have changed. Back in 2017, the curriculum was completely overhauled, and we no longer had the A star to G grades, but we changed them to numbers, and they went from 1 to 9. So now, instead of having the grade C as our benchmark, The government has a grade 4 as a standard pass, which is like a low grade C, and a grade 5, which is the strong pass, which is like a grade B or C. So the other thing that has changed, as well as the number systems, the way we grade the GCSEs, is the structure of these exams. So all the assessment here happens at the end of the course, and the content is no longer modular. So you no longer take one module after the other. We take everything at once and you're examined at the end. So you do tend to have written exams, except like things like practical subjects where they can't do that assessment. So you, for example, in dance, you'll have partly written and you'll have partly a practical. Similar with food, partly written and partly a practical, and PE and other subjects like that. All other subjects have an exam at the end where they are assessed. So it's important that you think about having a broad and balanced curriculum, because actually that's what you're used to. At Key Stage 3, you study around 14 different subjects as part of our broad and balanced curriculum. And we believe at Wixams that this is key to helping you develop as a well-rounded and successful individual. Now, that doesn't change at Key Stage 4. It's still important to have a broad and balanced curriculum, but now we're narrowing it down to 9 or 10 GCSEs. The options process is about helping you to make the right choices for your future by choosing some of these GCSEs, even though most of you don't know what you might want to do later in life. But choosing the right GCSEs will help you to keep the right doors open to help you in your further studies. If you don't know what those doors are, then it's important that you choose a broad and balanced range of subjects. Now, I want to take the opportunity now to talk about Progress 8. Now, Progress 8 is a measure which is really for us as a school. However, it helps explain some of the way that we have structured our options process. So the government wants students to have a broad and balanced curriculum, and that is why they've asked schools to focus on Progress 8. So Progress 8 divides the subjects into 8 subjects at GCSE. Now, English and maths are both double weighted, so they're twice as important, so they're for us as a school. You then have the suggestion that you should take 3 EBAC qualifications. So that is sciences, computer science, geography, history, and a language. So you take a choice of 3 of those. And that's what the government is suggesting that they'd like you to do to ensure that you have that broad curriculum. And then the last group in this Progress 8 is the open group, which is all the other subjects that we might offer. So if I go through that again, we have ensured that our students get access to the full Progress 8 curriculum by making sure that you select at least 1 pink subject. So when you come to our subjects, you will automatically have the English language and English literature and maths, and they will count for us as a school in your bucket 1. Then we're asking you to choose a pink subject. So in bucket 2, these are the next 3 EBAC subjects. You're allowed to include science, so that's 2 subjects. And we would like to encourage you to have a broad curriculum by choosing at least 1 of these other subjects. So these are our pink subjects. And then there are 3 other subjects that could be chosen from the other buckets that can go into bucket 3. Also for us, you could also have the other pink subjects as well. So if I have a look at what we offer at Wixams, so at Wixams, all students will do at least 5 GCSEs. That means that is because you do 2 GCSEs, 1 in English and 1 in maths, in English literature. You have 1 in maths, and you have the option of doing double science, and then some students may do triple science. You then have up to 4 option subjects that you are choosing. There are also non-exam subjects such as personal development, PSHE and core PE. On top of this, at Wixams, we offer a wide choice of enrichment subjects. Now, this is bespoke to to Wixams, actually. So once a week, you will study an enrichment subject. Now, what we mean by an enrichment subject is something that we offer that is not on our basic curriculum and may not necessarily give you a GCSE or an award, or it may. So some of the things that we're offering at the moment, so people that are not doing, say, PE GCSE, still have the option of doing enrichment with our sports leaders course and getting a qualification in sports leaders. We have our very popular Duke of Edinburgh Award, where students are currently working towards their Bronze Award at the school. Some students are deciding to do some grade 5 piano and other music awards, so it's part of the enrichment curriculum. And some students who do not necessarily have English as a second language or actually speak a second language are actually choosing to do a GCSE in their home language. So some students during the enrichment curriculum are studying for a GCSE in Polish at the moment. We also have Portuguese at the moment, and we have some other subjects. So this is where we give those students support to study those subjects. So I'd like to take the opportunity to explain our pathways. I'm thinking at this time that you've already gone through the booklet, and I want to give some further explanation about the three pathways that we offer. Now, when you received your booklet, you will have received our recommended pathway. This is what we recommend to students to provide flexibility for each student. So it's actually tailored to the needs of each student based on their abilities, based on their potential, and also based on the way that they learn. Okay. So the each pathway is still aspirational, and if I go through them each in turn, so our bespoke pathway is tailored to the needs of individual students, and it's different because it may involve the study of some level 1 courses such as ASDAN and food and cookery. This pathway can be negotiated with the academy, the student, the family to make sure you get maximum success. So we do make sure that you're actually choosing the correct choice of subjects, and you can only have a maximum of 2 level 1 courses. We're asking you to still do a pink course, and we're asking you to still think about your other GCSE courses. The Wixams pathway is the pathway that the majority of students will follow. It includes the study of all core subjects, as do all the bespoke and the baccalaureate pathway, English, Maths and Science, but also on top of that, there are 4 chosen options. In the baccalaureate pathway, as well as having your core subjects, English, Maths and Science, we're also asking you to choose history or geography. Plus, and then you have 2 chosen options. Now, the reason for that is because if you're planning to go to a very good university, something like a Russell Group University or Oxford or Cambridge, although these universities might not ask for you to do history or geography, you will be competing with other students from other high attaining schools who have been encouraged to take these subjects. And because the government is encouraging you to do a baccalaureate pathway, to take these subjects, we are strongly suggesting to these students that these are the options that you should take. Now, of course, if you're doing the Wixams pathway, you can choose to do the baccalaureate pathway. You can choose to do history or geography in a language. And of course, if you're doing the bespoke pathway, you can choose to do the baccalaureate pathway, because you will also have a choice of doing history or geography within your choices that we're giving you. It is just that we've split up the 3 courses to make it easier for you to know what we think will suit your child based on their prior and current attainment and the way that they prefer to learn. So questions that you should think about when you're making these choices. What subjects do you enjoy? Now, it's really important, if you're going to study these subjects, and at Wixams it's for 3 years, then it's important that you choose subjects that you enjoy. What subjects are you actually good at? It's not essential, but if you're not very, very good at a subject, it's going to be quite difficult for you to get the best that you grades that you possibly can do. Have you got a balance of subjects? We've given you suggestions about that balance of subjects that you could use. And what do you actually think that you may want to study in sixth form or after school, if you actually know at all? So reasons to choose a subject. Do you like the subject? Do you find it interesting? Do you enjoy it? And do you want to be successful in it? That is really, really important. You really do need to want to do that subject. Do you have some skill in the subject? Are you good at it? Do you think you'll be able to do well at those subjects? What are the resource requirements? Have you read the booklet? Do you understand what they are? Is it the right level of qualification or learning style for you? So we have two different learning styles. There is the GCSEs that I've spoken to about at length, and also there are BTEC qualifications. Now, BTEC qualifications, they're still level 2, but they're a different way of learning. So GCSEs, you will have the exam at the end of the year, whereas BTEC, you may have continual assessment within the course. Is the subject something that you might want to study at sixth form? Does the subject relate to a career that you're interested in? Is it part of the English baccalaureate? Have you chosen a humanities and a language? And is that actually relevant to yourself? Is there a good reserve choices in such case your preferred choice does not run? So you're going to be asked to make a selection of 4 choices, and also you're going to be able to actually make second choices just in case those first choices don't run, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail later. So what are bad reasons for choosing a particular subject? Well, thinking that you want to choose a subject because your friends have chosen the subjects is not a very good reason, because you may not even be in the same group as your friends. Many of the option subjects have multiple classes, and there's no guarantee that you will be in the same classes as your friends. If you choose DT and there's another group of DT, then you may be in different classes anyway. So therefore, please do not think more about your friends are doing, but think more about what you want to do. Another poor reason for choosing a course is that you really like the teacher. Now, although that's quite flattering, it cannot guarantee that that teacher will actually take the class. We're a growing school at Wixams, and we have more than one subject specialist in a particular area. So it may be a different teacher that takes the class. And also it does happen that some teachers do leave the school. So although you may start with one teacher you like, in the future that teacher may change for whatever reason. And therefore it's really important that you enjoy the subjects that you're taking. So how do you make the decision? Well, one of the things that you could do is you could book an appointment with Mrs. Obame, our careers advisor, and she can give you lots of support. She can support you with knowing more about the subjects. She can support you by telling you what sort of careers these subjects lead to, and she can support you by going backwards from the careers and thinking about what subjects might be able to help you. There's also support during our PSHCE lessons, which will introduce you to different aspects of careers and the GCSEs you will need, and they should have already started. You can talk to your form tutor, you can talk to your teachers, you can talk to your heads of year, talk to as many adults as possible to support you with your choice. Please talk to your parents and to older students, to your older brothers and sisters. We all have experience and we can all help you to make those decisions. Try to think about what careers you might be interested in. If you don't know, then try and keep your options as broad as possible and choose things that you enjoy. Please read the options booklet that you've been given. There's a lot of detail in there, and watch the videos that go with that. I've also put 2 websites here that might help you with your research. The START profile is something that students use at school. There's lots of information on there to support parents and to support students. It talks about jobs, it talks about what subjects are applicable for particular jobs, and then it goes the other way and thinks about what subjects and what jobs they're useful for, and it gives you lots and lots of details. There's also the National Careers Service at .direct.gov.uk, which I'd also recommend as somewhere where you could do some research into some of these subjects and where they may lead. So here there's a quote here that says, "Motivation will always beat mere talent." And this is again my way of actually saying to you, you really do need to want to do these subjects, and that's far more important actually than being actually good at the subjects, because if you want to do those subjects, then actually the chances are you will make sure that you succeed at them. Now, this was the bit that I alluded to earlier, course viability. Okay, so please be aware that only option subjects that attract sufficient numbers will be able to run. So if we've put an option subject within a block and only say 3 students choose it, then actually it's probably unlikely that that subject will run. This is because we need to make sure that we deploy the staff effectively and ensure that the pupils can make progress. So really what we want to say to you that in order for this process to be successful, we really do need to make sure that we keep communicating with us and make sure that we communicate with you and you communicate with us. So please make sure you keep coming back to me. If you have queries, you can email me directly. My name is Mrs. Hepburn, and also you could come to see the frequently answered questions session on the 23rd of March. Keep asking questions, keep talking to us, because working together is the best way we can make sure that your child has a successful options package. Personalisation has always been a key principle of Wixams, and it also is a key principle of our package of options, and that's why we've got our 3 pathways. But however, I want to reassure you that we continually assess the suitability of each student's curriculum and work with families to ensure that all students are following appropriate courses. So we do spend 3 years on these courses. So if you find that your child is struggling with a course or it really isn't suitable, then really please get back in touch with me and we can have a look at what we can do to support you. As I said before, communication is really, really important, so please keep coming back to us. Our option choices do allow for a high degree of choice, including the GCSE and the vocational qualifications. So that is a way of how we personalise our learning. So GCSEs, the exam at the end of the course, BTECs and the C Nationals, that actually is how you're doing more continual type assessment. There is an ability for some students to reduce the number of subjects studied, but that has to be with parental agreement, and it does allow for some students bespoke interventions in English, reading, maths, or other sorts of support that's available. So if you do think that the courses aren't personalised enough for your child, then please get in touch with us at the Academy and we do our best to create that package for them. So how does the options process actually work at Wixams Academy? Once you've watched all the videos located on the website and spoken to your family, and you've visited the start profile, and you've read the whole of the options booklet, then it's time to make your choices. And you make your choices on the separate forms that are been put in your booklet. So these are the coloured forms that you need to hand in. The way in which you complete your option form will vary depending on the pathway that we've actually selected for you. So if we've selected the baccalaureate pathway, then first we're asking you to select a language and history or geography and place a number 1 next to them. You should then make 2 other choices from the remaining columns and place a number 1 next to these subjects too. It's perfectly acceptable that if you select French, you can also select Spanish, and if you select history, you can also select geography. Alternatively, you may want to select a broader pattern of options such as French, geography, art and media. Once you've done this, then you need to repeat the process for your second choices, still ensuring that you've selected the language and history or geography. It is acceptable to expect the same language as a second choice, but it has to be in a different column. So for example, here I've got a baccalaureate pathway form. Okay, now if you haven't got the baccalaureate pathway form, you'll see that it's very similar to the Wixams pathway and the bespoke pathway. But for a baccalaureate student, we're asking you to choose a humanity, geography or history, and a language, say Spanish or French, and put a 1 next to them in that column, whichever is your choice. Now you may go on and decide that you want to study French as well, so put a 1 in the next column for French, or you may want to study history as well, so put a 1 next to history. That doesn't matter. But the next 2 course subjects that you choose, let's say it was business studies or computer science, they are the subjects that you're choosing as your first choice in those different blocks. Now, after that, you really do need to think carefully about your second choices, just in case there's, for some reason, we cannot offer that first choice. So you may decide to choose French this time as your language and history as your humanity. So you have to choose a language and humanity if you're on the baccalaureate pathway. And then you can choose your two other subjects, and then this time it's media and BTEC, creative media. So the pink subjects for the baccalaureate pathway, we need to have one language and one humanity. The subjects labelled in blue here are the BTECs, so that's to help you to differentiate those from, distinguish those from the other GCSE subjects. Now for the Wixams pathway, very similar, but this time we're only saying that you must select a pink subject, 1, and place a number 1 next door to it first. You can then make 3 other subject choices from the remaining columns and place a number 1 next to this subject. Now it's perfectly acceptable for you to select the EBAC pathway, just as I did before. It's broad and balanced range of subjects, or a more specialist route at this point, such as performing arts, so such as choosing perhaps dance and drama. Once you've done this, you repeat the process with your second choices, still ensuring that you have selected at least 1 pink subject in your second choices. You can still select the same subjects as long as they appear in different columns to your first choices. So for example, you may decide to choose history as your pink choice. Okay, so you put a number 1 next to it. Then you might really want to do art, so put a number 1 next to that, DT in the next column, and music in the next column. So they're your first choices. Now you need to do your second choices. So you may choose to do geography as your second choice in that column. You may choose to do business studies as your second choice in this column. But you may really want to make sure that you do art. So you've made sure that you've put art into this section here, and here that person's chosen computer science. Again, this person's chosen 2 pink subjects. That's perfectly acceptable as long as you've got at least 1 for the Wixams pathway. And the bespoke pathway works exactly the same way. So a bespoke student can still choose an EBAC pathway. A bespoke student on the bespoke pathway could still choose to do a Wixams pathway. The choices are very similar. So if you're choosing this pathway, you should still first select your pink subject and place a number 1 next door to it. And then you can make 3 other choices from the remaining columns and place a number 1 next to these subjects too. The only difference here is that you may select a maximum of 2 level 1 courses instead, that the other students haven't got options to do. So once you've done this, you repeat the process with your second choices, still ensuring that you've selected at least 1 pink subject in your second choice. You can still select a maximum of 2 level 1 courses for your second choices. You don't have to, it's an option. Please speak to myself if you're having difficulties with selecting a pink subject, or if you and your family feel that their more personalised approach would be more suitable to you. So an example of the bespoke pathway option form. So here it is. You can see it's very similar to the Wixams and the EBAC pathway, except you have 2 additional courses, which are the level 1 courses. So someone on this course might decide to do the level 1 ASDAN course, to do a BTEC in the computing, creative media, to do the food qualification, but now they haven't got a pink qualification, so they must have a pink qualification, and for that one they've chosen geography. Or now they need to do their second choice, so here they've chosen geography, they really want to do geography, so they've made sure that geography is one of their choices. They want to do cooking, but this time they've chosen to do the level 1 home cooking skills. They really want to do creative media, so they made sure that that appears in a different area. And BTEC business is another BTEC that they've chosen, so that would be the bespoke pathway. Now, so once you've got your form in, there isn't actually a rush to get it in. Make sure you've done the correct research. It is not first come, first served. You have plenty of time from now to revisit the support videos and to discuss your choices with all the adults around you. The only thing is you must get your form by the Friday, the 16th of April. The forms must be into your form tutor, else we cannot actually say that we can give you your choices. So you really must have those forms into your form tutor by Friday, the 16th of April. It can come beforehand, but please do not rush to get them completed. Make sure you take the time that you need and you've asked as many people as possible. So to finish off this presentation, I'm finishing with this quote: every pro was once an amateur, every expert was once a beginner. So please dream big and start dreaming now. So the example I'd like to give is from Andy Murray. And Andy Murray, that's Andy Murray as a child and Andy Murray as he is winning at tennis. And he became the winner that we know him to be because of a result of the paths that he chose. So to finish off, just to remind you, please watch the videos that go alongside this presentation. Please make sure that you've read the booklet, and please attend our question session on the 23rd of March, and all forms need to be in by the 16th of April. Thank you very much for listening to this presentation.